Well, even this episode confirms that Pretty Little Liars has fully gone off the rails.
The show that I know you won't tell what I said, 'cause two can keep a secret if one of them is dead.
Hey guys, Ken for Pretty Little Liars, Season 7, Episode 6, Wanted Dead or Alive, and I was really looking forward to this episode, honestly, mainly because of the fact that I really loved the last episode. It really seemed like we were getting things back on track. It really seemed like they were trying to make this a very satisfying final season, and especially the proposal at the end. I was really looking forward to this episode. I have to say, though, that while there was some good stuff in this episode really was a huge step backward. I mean, there were a lot of things here I really did not like. I thought this episode was painfully slow at points. I thought it was really obvious and really seems like a lot of the things they're doing to shock us is just to shock us, and there's not really a lot of story, too, because a lot of what we found out in this episode doesn't really add up, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, but let's get in this episode because I didn't think it was a bad episode, per se. I just thought that it was really a step backward, and this season, I'm going to say right now, is proving itself to be the worst season of the show. I'm going to say it right off the bat, but let's just get into this episode, because I really wasn't a huge fan of it. We start off at the brew, we see Emily feels Aria sitting there, and here's the thing, we expect Aria to maybe talk about the proposal with Ezra or something, but she never talks about it with the girls. It's really weird that she never talks about it with the liars. I mean, if anyone was to propose marriage, I would assume you talk to your friends about it, but she never talks to them about it. It seems like this plot is so confined to just Aria and Ezra that she can't talk to anyone else about it. It just seems so strange, and Emily finds Aria sitting there having coffee. Hannah and Spencer arrive in a huff, and Hannah's freaking out. She's convinced that Elliot's still alive, and Spencer tells her to snap out of it, and Aria thinks that Mary or Jenna knows that they killed Elliot, and they're covering it up to blackmail them later, they feel. That's what they feel is going on. Obviously, because they know that they, are key suspects what's going on, that they might be working with AD, and they also know that Mary was working with Archer, so they don't really know if they could be suspects. And Allie then arrives. She's wearing the red jacket that they gave to AD. The secret is out. Allie knows that they threw her under the bus with the jacket when she was in the hospital, and Spencer tries to explain they had no choice and they thought that she was guilty. And Allie snaps that they thought Hannah's life was worth more than hers, and I mean, I get what Allie's doing here. I mean, Hannah was obviously in danger, but also Allie was, in the hospital and everything. They just didn't really think to look for her at the time because, obviously, they were too busy finding Hannah. I mean, obviously, they couldn't really do anything when AD gives you 24 hours, or else they're going to reveal the killer and things like and kill Hannah. I mean, it's kind of more important than that, because I think they didn't think that Elliot would kill Allie, and we see Allie gets a text from Mary, and we see Detective Fury, that's his, Marco, Detective Fury, he's at the house waiting for her, and Allie and Spencer rush to the house to talk to the cop, and Fury explains that, and we get a lot of really strange information here, which some of it makes sense, some of it doesn't, but he, of course, explains that his real name is Archer Dunhill. He's wanted in the UK for several counts of petty fraud, and basically, Allie finally understands what's going on. So Toby's on the rental car trail, and he's speaking to witnesses, and Fury shares the police's theory. He thinks that Elliot is still in town. He's creating the trail to divert the cops' attention, he feels, and, remember, they've come up with this narrative that Elliot has left town, and basically, Spencer then chases Fury outside to clear the air after their hookup, and I'm like, no, this is exactly what you should not be doing. I talked about it before. This entire thing with Spencer and Marco was completely unnecessary. I don't know why we're still going on about it. The best thing to do would have just been a hookup one and done. People do not talk about hookups this much, and he reassures her that what happened between them is not going to affect the investigation, and it's stupid. Why would this affect the investigation in any way? What's he gonna do, target her because they almost had sex? Nothing really happened between them except they got close and they almost had sex. They didn't actually have sex. Spencer is talking about like they did have sex, and that's what really is annoying here, is that they didn't have sex. Spencer is talking like they did, but they didn't. Spencer swears that Allie's cooperating and not hiding anything from the police, and that they can trust her. She's a noteworthy ally, and that they can definitely trust her. So Aria and Ezra, we see, aren't speaking after his disastrous proposal, but why? I mean, really, this entire thing, my biggest problem this episode is Aria and Ezra, I have to say, because that's the stuff I wanted to hear. what the drama we get here ends up being completely unnecessary towards the end of the episode. We'll get into that. She texts Hannah, asks her to talk about it. She needs advice. Hannah hears another phone ring in her purse. It's the burner phone. She answers the phone, and Elliot's on the other end, or someone that sounds an awful lot like him. He snarled and said, the next time you kill someone, to make sure that they're dead. And this really scares her. And at this point, I'm lost, because we clearly saw Archer, he hit the windshield and he died. So I have no idea how the hell he could still possibly be alive, but this episode kind of makes us think that he might still be alive. And if they do this twist that he is still alive, I don't know. I mean, like I said, this show really has gone off the rails, and right away, I mean, this really showed it. So Hannah meets up with Aria. She's freaking out. She thinks that Elliot's coming back to get revenge on her because she hit him with the car. And they don't really get to talk about Ezra. And Ezra is blowing up Aria's phone, trying to talk to her, but she ignores his calls to deal with Hannah. And the fact that, she wouldn't just give Ezra an answer, I mean, it's not a very hard question. Why is it so hard to just give an answer of a yes or a no? I mean, I get that obviously there's, they weren't together or anything. It was kind of a sudden thing, but why is Aria so deathly shocked about it? Why is she in such denial? I mean, I feel like it was kind of out of character for her to be this, shocked about it, that Ezra wanted to make this move and everything. I mean, we knew that he clearly loves Aria and that he clearly still wants to be with her, and he's moved past Nicole and everything. I mean, we heard what he said, and basically Spencer and it felt very weird just having this whole thing going on. Spencer then heads to the Lost Woods Resort. She's trying to find Archer's credit card info so they can figure out who's using them. And when Spencer arrives, Mary's there. She's freaking out. I will say the best of this episode once again was Mary Drake. I thought Mary Drake killed it. The actress that played her just killed in this episode. I love what they do with her. But again, even her stuff doesn't make any sense. Mary's packing up her stuff to take back to Allie's. Mary swears that Archer is coming back to kill her, and either she's genuinely scared of Archer, or she's just a really good actress, or there's no way that she's making it seem like he's still alive. I mean, there's no way, really. I mean, I don't know what she's talking about here. There's absolutely no way he's alive, so I'm thinking she knows something, but it just doesn't make any sense, because it seems like this season they've tried to prove that we can in fact trust her, and now all of a sudden it seems like we can't trust her. So that seems really off as well, just the way that they did that. So Aria confesses to Hannah that Ezra proposed. She didn't give him an answer yet. Hannah's been keeping a secret too, and she tells her about she and Jordan aren't engaged anymore. She gave him his ring back. She has just been wearing a fake ring because she wasn't ready for people to know yet. And the fact she still hasn't told anyone, I mean, it really just shows how much of a sluggish season this really is. I think we're so focused on the liars killing someone, everything else is kind of being put on the back burner. And, I mean, it's just... I honestly forgot about her, and I'm honestly forgetting about Jordan. If the show clearly wants me to forget about Jordan, and they're doing that very well here, but, the fact that they casually reference him doesn't really make me forget Jordan, I have to say. I mean, the show wants me to, but I'm not going to forget Jordan if you keep referencing him. So, Caleb then bumps into Ezra at the hotel bar. Caleb is a bag. He was planning on going out of town, but he isn't sure where to go. And, of course, as we know, he was planning on leaving Spencer. And they bond, and Caleb tells Ezra that he has a feeling that something's going on and that the girls aren't telling him about it. He feels that there's definitely something more going on there. And this I really like. I like that Caleb can tell that there's something going on. He can just tell. He has that instinct that he knows that they're keeping something from him. And I did like seeing this scene here. So meanwhile, Emily's upstairs. She's snooping around. She delivers a tray of drinks up to Jenna's hotel room. She snoops through Jenna's laptop, and she finds a page for rental cars and a file named Charlotte. And Sara then arrives and calls Emily out for snooping around. Emily and Jenna then argues. Jenna scoffs that she and Sara are looking for the same thing, which is Charlotte's killer. And Jenna reveals that she and Charlotte were friends. We finally find out what Jenna's role in all this was, because obviously we knew there's a real reason why Jenna's back. It's not just for, Toby's wedding. That's not the reason why she's back. She's back because she's looking for Charlotte's killer, and she reveals that she and Charlotte were in fact friends. She was helping Charlotte looking for her birth mother, and Archer was Charlotte's boyfriend, we find out. He just seduced Allie and posed as Charlotte's doctor to get her out of the hospital, and I don't know. That doesn't really make any sense. I'm very confused by all this. A lot of this isn't really making sense. And I know we're not really supposed to trust Jenna, but it doesn't make much sense to me. I don't believe this for a second. And if this is actually true, I mean, it doesn't really make sense at all. Why would he be Charlotte's boyfriend? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Why would he do all that stuff to Allie? I mean, none of that makes sense. Jenna kicks Emily out of the hotel room. Sarah follows her and tells Emily not to come back because it's not safe. And just by that, it really does seem like there's something up, that there's definitely something they're keeping from them. You can't trust them for some reason, and we don't really know what's going on there, but I could just tell from this scene that something was definitely up and that you definitely could not trust them. So Caleb then heads over to Spencer's house so that they can finally talk things out, and he apologized for what happened and being confused, and Spencer tells Caleb that she understands, but she doesn't regret trying to make things work with him. She cries and confesses that Caleb was the first guy that she really loved since Toby, and it's a really nice scene. They actually share a really nice emotional goodbye. Caleb seems to leave, and it seems like it's the end, but it already seemed like it was the end, so I don't really know why we needed this. I mean, it already seemed like things had ended there. I was kind of confused as to why he just randomly ended things, but it seems like he just randomly ended things there. But then we get one of the best scenes of the episode, because Mary then returns home. Allie's waiting for her. Allie went through Mary's stuff, and she demands to know why she stole her mother's necklace, because there's obviously a reason why she had it. She wouldn't just randomly steal it. And Mary then shows Allie that she has a C-section scar from where Charlotte was born, and she sobs that Jessica took her baby from her and everything else, including the necklace, so when Mary saw it, she took it back. And half of this makes sense, half of it doesn't. I mean, I get that obviously, Charlotte was once, Charlie, and she really wanted Charlotte and everything, but then they get into this whole story with Cece and how, she used the name Cece Drake, and Emily then meets up with Allie later for wine. Emily fills her in on her chat with Jenna, and Allie's upset that Charlotte played her and used her to get out of the hospital. She thought that they were sisters. Instead, Charlotte sent her boyfriend to marry Allie and brainwash her. Now, this doesn't make any sense. I mean, why would Charlotte just flat out lie to them? And if that's really the truth, that Charlotte did actually lie to them and that's really what happened, then why was Charlotte killed? That doesn't make any sense to me. So clearly, someone is telling a lie here. I mean, none of that makes any sense. The fact that Charlotte just sent her out to brainwash her, none of that seems to make sense to me. And when Emily leaves, she then climbs in her car. There's someone sitting in a cop car wearing a mask and trailing her, and Hannah and Spencer then sit, and who this person is, we don't know. Hannah and Spencer then sit outside drinking. They clear the air after their awkwardness over Caleb, and Hannah tells Spencer that she had a dream about her when she was being held hostage. Elliot's burner phone rings in Hannah's purse. She answers it. It sounds like Elliot's on the other end. He tells them that they are stupid bitches for leaving Allie alone, and Hannah and Spencer then frantically call Allie, warn her that they think that Archer is coming for her. And again, this makes no sense whatsoever. They killed him. They buried him. It makes no sense. Someone cannot unbury themselves. Look, when you're buried alive, you're buried alive. You can't really get out of there. I mean, I don't think that he was just playing dead. I think it's really dumb if he was. And Allie then goes outside, asks the cops outside to come inside with her, wait for her till her friends will arrive. It's the cop wearing the mask that's been following Emily around, we realize, and that's who it is. Now, who this cop is, we don't know, but he jumps Allie from behind once they're in the house, slams her head into a glass mirror. Suddenly, the real police pull up outside, and the fake cop has to make a run for it before he can finish Allie off. She manages to grab a piece of his mask off his face during the struggle, and crazy scene overall. I mean, the way that she was able to do that was crazy, but really to show how much of a badass Allie can be at points. And again, we get more like this side of Allie we haven't seen. But how is Allie, here's the thing I don't understand. Why is Allie all of a sudden, like, such a warrior and things like that? Why is she so ready to fight all of a sudden? Like, when was she trained? I don't really think we got a mention of any of this. I know it doesn't really matter, but it kind of does. I mean, why was she just all of a sudden just being this fighting badass, killing all these guys? I mean, not killing all these guys, but being able to take this guy's face off. I just didn't really understand that. So Spencer and Hannah then arrive. Marco's barking out orders to the cops in the living room. They rush upstairs to check on Allie. She explains that AD was there. He was wearing a mask and dressed as a cop, and she's convinced that that must have been AD. And Allie cries that he was going to kill her, but the police siren scared her off. And again, this doesn't really make much sense as to why, any of this really seem to be, why any of this would make sense with Charlotte. Why would Charlotte just, do this to Allie again? Why would it just doesn't really make sense to me. So I'm thinking that Mary Drake is playing her. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Mary can't be trusted now. Which kind of sucks because I want her to be trusted because I just think it'd be too predictable. But now it seems like she can't be trusted. So Aria and Ezra then have this really long talk, gets down on one knee, and it turns out that it looks like they are in fact getting married. And this entire plot was pointless, honestly. If she would have just said yes, I would have been fine. Why do we need to take this whole drawn-out thing for her to say yes? Yes, I get that it was very hard for her to do, but it's not hard. You say yes or no or maybe. And the fact that we didn't get an answer till now just really feels annoying and really feels very prolonged. And it's not the only thing they prolong this episode, because then we get to the end of the episode where Sarah's in her hotel room. She's frantically packing her suitcase. She's clearly in a hurry to just get the hell out of there. And she opens her hotel door and is shocked to see someone standing there. And Spencer and Hannah decide to sneak back to Elliot's grave in the woods to see if he really is dead. They grab shovels. They start digging to see if his body is where they left it. They're shocked when they find Archer's very dead corpse, but he's not the one who has been calling them and tried to kill Allie. So in fact, he's not alive, and I like that. I like that he's not the one alive. So who the fuck is impersonating him? Who is pretending to be him? I mean, that doesn't really make any sense. And the fact they actually thought that he was alive is just insane. Really, it's insane. I don't know why they were thinking this. It makes no sense whatsoever. Why they were thinking that he was alive. You obviously killed him. He died, and I don't know if the liars are starting to go a bit crazy, but I'm pretty sure they are, because the fact that they actually thought that this guy who hit the windshield of, who was running, who got hit by a car, and then fell into the windshield of said car, and then they buried him and saw themselves bury them, and then made up this story, and the fact that they think that he could possibly be alive from that it makes no sense to me whatsoever. I'm lost. I mean, it makes no sense why they would think that he would be alive. So what was the point of this again? It seems completely pointless that any of this happened, and the fact that they actually think he's alive. I mean, I don't know if the liars are starting to go crazy, but it definitely seems like they are. So I'm going to put that as the liars are going crazy. So the next morning, housekeeping heads into Sarah's hotel. And then we get to the end of the episode, we see the next morning, housekeeper heads into Sarah's hotel room, and the maid finds her very dead body in the bathtub. Sarah's dead, and that's how the episode ends. And here's the thing with Sarah's death real quick, because while obviously it is kind of shocking that they killed off Sarah, it, in retrospect, doesn't really matter. Why? Because Sara hasn't been a huge part of this story. She hasn't been a huge part of the story, really, since we found out about her injury. I mean, ever since then, we didn't really, know much about her. All this really eliminates is one less suspect. That's all this really does. It doesn't, it doesn't scare them. It doesn't make us, holy shit, Sara died. I never really cared about her character. I liked her character in the beginning, but then, of course, we knew we couldn't trust her. I've never been able to trust the character, so they just killed her off. I mean, it just seemed really unnecessary to do any of what they did with her here. I don't know why they had to kill her off here. If anything, it seems very prolonged. They should have just killed her off in the, when the whole Charlotte reveal happened. That's when they should have killed her off. It would have made more sense to do that, and it seems like this was just extremely prolonged. Why, out of all people, would you kill Sara? The person to kill, I don't think, would have been Sara. The person to kill would have been Mona. That would have been the person to kill, because Mona is someone that is working with them, who is unusually absent from this episode. I don't know why Mona's not there, but she's not in this episode for some reason. I don't know why, but she's not in this episode. She would have been the person to kill, not Sara. Sara definitely is not the person to kill, and especially in a final season, I'd expect a lot bigger. They expected that they said someone was gonna die, but I did not think it was gonna be someone as useless and as pointless as Sara. I mean, Sara's not a bad character by any means, but she's not even a main character, so it really doesn't matter to me that she was in fact killed. But this episode in general I found kind of pointless. I mean, most of this episode revolved around the idea that Archer may still be alive, and it makes absolutely no sense why he would be alive. I mean, they clearly saw they killed him. They clearly hit him with the car. He clearly fell in the windshield. It just doesn't make any sense how he could possibly be alive. It seems complete bizarre and complete bullshit, and it really seems like they're kind of running out of ideas at this point. I'm not talking about the liars, I'm talking about the show in general. It seems like they're kind kind of running on steam and they're running out of ideas, and you can definitely see that. So it's not a surprise to me they're ending the show, but it definitely seems like they're running out of ideas. Aria and Ezra, her agreeing to get married, I mean, it's about time, really. It's about time. It should have just been this episode. They should have either been married or not married, and then that's it. You know, you don't have to give me this whole thing where it's like, oh, Aria's skeptical, and then the last second she does want to get married. I just thought it was dumb the way they did that. The best way to have done that would have been to have him propose to her and then have her say, I'm sorry, I can't get married right now. That would have made a lot more sense. I think that just would make more sense to do. This, I just think was kind of pointless. I don't know why we would do any of this. They didn't even really say what Aria's reason was. Why was she so worried about Ezra proposing to her? They didn't really explain it. It just seemed like she was worried just because the fact that it was so sudden or whatever. That's not enough of a reason. I mean, Aria and Ezra, these are two that have been in love for a while, and all of a sudden she's saying no. It just makes no sense to me. Marco and Spencer, I could really give two less shits. I don't care about them. If they're setting up some sort of relationship, I really don't care. Caleb leaving just doesn't really do much for me either. I didn't really find much going on there. As far as the mask goes, we do see at the end of the episode, we do see that mask and it says Charlotte's Books or something like that. So I think that's very interesting. I really don't trust Mary after this episode. Everything that Mary says, forget what I've said about her because I really don't trust her after everything. I mean, what she said to Allie seems very shady, seems very much like she can't be trusted, and I really don't trust Mary, I have to say. I kind of did, and now I don't, and it's mainly because of the fact that she completely, that she basically said that, Charlotte was playing her or whatever, and there's no way that that could possibly be true. I mean, I just don't really see how someone like Charlotte could be playing her. So I'm forced to believe, I guess, that Mary is playing them. I just don't really trust Mary right now, I have to say. But I don't know. The show really is, it's kind of confusing me now. I'm not gonna lie. The show is confusing because it really seems like at one point they want you to like Mary and show that she is kind of likable and that she is definitely going through stuff. But then in this episode, she seems extremely shady. So I can't really tell. Mary is so two-faced, and I get that that's kind of the point, but at the same time, it seems like, can you just go with, like, one character? Why do we have to be so back and forth with all these characters? Not every character, why does every character have to be so back and forth? I mean, it works with some characters like Jenna and Mona. Those characters it works well with. That's something they've done well with Mona. That they've shown that we can relatively trust her and that she definitely is on their side. Mary Drake, however, I want to trust her, but it seems like they're so back and forth or they don't really know what to do with her. So that kind of pisses me off, even though the actress is killing it and she's doing an incredible job. I just really think that, they really need to figure out what to do with her, because at this point, I'm really trying to figure out what the point of her character was besides her being allied with Archer. I honestly think they should just kill her off at this point. She probably would have been the one to kill. Mary Drake would have been the one to kill. That would have been so shocking had they killed Mary Drake. I mean, it would have been so much better if they would have done that. Sara was not the one to kill. I don't know why they had to kill her. There was absolutely no reason to do that. She was in 2 scenes in this episode. No reason to kill her. It seemed very unnecessary, and I don't really understand that. Overall, guys, this season is starting to lose me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really feeling a Vampire Diaries Season 7 kind of approach here, where things are happening, but not much is happening, where things are kind of pointless, where things are, have a point, but they kind of don't. And that's kind of what's happening this season, is that it seems like this is starting to go in a direction where I don't really know where it's going, and I kind of like that. But at the same time, I mean, not really much is happening. And besides a few things, it seems like they're really prolonging storylines. I'm not a huge fan of that, or they're cutting things too short. But let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Not a huge fan, but by far my least favorite episode of this season so far. And it seems like every week it's like good episode, bad episode, good episode, bad episode, good episode, bad episode. And I hope that they start to be a little more consistent, because so far this season's very on and off for me. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Love your thoughts, and we'll see you guys in my next video, which, guys, I know I've been very behind with Dead of Summer. I'm gonna catch up. I'm gonna review the 3 episodes, and then I'll review the 4 episodes, because I'll review tonight's episode as well in like a combined review, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.